One thing that I would like to go over with your viewers is after October 7th, if you read Obama's book, A Promised Land, if you read Decision Points by Bush, they mention Hamas, but the average person did not know of Hamas. Since October 7th, they have heard of Hamas. So, what we want to do is we want to see what the Hamas media office says when they have all the world's attention on them. According to Ben Shapiro
Yeah.
and Konstantin Kisin, when they have a lot of eyeballs on them, they're going to say, everyone needs to come to the one true faith. Allah is God. Pray to the East. Women need to wear headscarves. Women shouldn't drive. But
But that last point, no.
to my surprise, the Jewish Chronicle mentions that Hamas did come out with our narrative, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, and the Jewish Chronicle links it. And here are some quotes which I think are very indicative of who is right in this blowback versus Islam being
It's
the
all
cause
secular reasons, just
we're
like 9/11.
of what we're up against. The document opens by saying, in light of the ongoing Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip and West Bank, as our people continue their battle for independence, dignity, and breaking free from the longest ever occupation, during which they have drawn the finest displays of bravery and heroism in confronting the Israeli murder machine and aggression. This is how they open it. I read through, there are not many Quran quotes. Reason number one, they say, they go on for 7 reasons. I'll summarize them. The battle of the Palestinian people against occupation and colonialism did not start on October 7th, but 105 years ago, including 30 years of British colonialism and 75 years of Zionist occupation. Second point, the Gaza Strip, for example, suffered as of 2007 from a suffocating blockade over 17 years, which turned it to be the largest open-air prison in the world. Point number 3 from our narrative, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. According to official figures, in the period between January 2000 and September 2023, the Israeli occupation killed 11,299 Palestinians and injured 156,000 others. The great majority of them were civilians. This is what they say. It's about the occupation. It's not that they just inherently hate all Jews to the point where they're willing to risk their lives and commit mass murder.
They have to color it as some Orientalism type of view, some religiosity. That's what they see. It's a slave camp. It's a concentration camp. And they want to exterminate them. And they're killing 2 busloads of children a day. Beginning of the war is about 40 children die every day in Gaza from Israelis. Bullets, fire, rubble, starvation, you name it.
And it's amazing how people try to guilt us free market advocates into saying, but your policies could lead to bad things happening. Child labor. I can't imagine anything worse. Well, government schooling is unpaid child labor, first of all. Second of all, big government
interns
engage in mass murder campaigns against children and civilians, far more exploitative than anything
Our joke
else.
is that grad students are indentured servants. They do it for the credits.
But then there's a blockade on Gaza since 2007. I don't know what the hell these people are supposed to do. Ask kindly, write very persuasive letters. Their hands are tied to the point where, I mean, look, the average American will sometimes justify murdering 100,000 innocent Japanese people, but they can't wrap their mind around how anyone in Hamas could commit atrocities on October 7th.
It's American exceptionalism, and I don't understand it. I was like, oh, it's only bad when they do it. What would we do in the same situation? There's no way it would even reach this point. But they're not considered people, and it's because of this religious rhetoric that's like, well, that's their land. The holy books say it belongs to the Jews, the ones the Jews wrote. They're just coming back after 3,000 years to take their homeland, and these other people just need to leave or die. And that justifies it in their minds. They're not supposed to be there according to religious rhetoric, including Palestinian Christians. It doesn't matter. And that is the crux of it. And people say, well, no, it's Herschel. Why are they in Israel in the first place? Religion. Like, why there? You can't have a holy land or holy anything without religion. But that is the elephant in the room, because most people are religious, especially in the United States. So that is not an allowable answer. I'm like, well, if you're not going to let the truth be the answer, then you're just going to run around in circles, unable to resolve the conflict because you refuse to even look at the root of it, because you don't like what the answer is. Religious fanatics are fighting in the Middle East. They are. There's nothing secular about it.
Would you say it's more of a religious problem than a racial problem? Because when I read The Jewish State by Herzl in 1896, he had said, we'll either have to go to Argentina or Palestine. So it seems like originally this was our race of people has
Where do
faced
they get the
expulsions
idea of
and
a Jewish
pogroms.
race? From religion. It's not a different race. Like, it's anyone dumb enough to believe the lies of a rabbi gets to be Jewish. Anybody of any race could be Jewish, hypothetically. Look at it. It's a bunch of people from Europe, mostly. It's from Eastern Europe. Is whiter than Larry Bird, coming down, putting sunscreen all over themselves because they're not from the desert. There's probably 3 or 4%, Hebrew with ancestors that go to Levant, that live in Israel, that have been there the whole time. But the majority of them, you have a huge wave from Russia, huge wave from like Crimea, Ukraine, Romania, that area. They're not a different race. They're not Jewish. They're not Semites. They're trans Semites. They self-identify. They put on the costume of it. A lot of them can't even speak Hebrew. A lot of them speak English. They're from Brooklyn or whatever. They just decided based on identity that they're a Jew. But the whole concept of dividing the world into Jew and Gentile is from Judaism. That religion decided to divide itself from their neighbors. They all live, the Assyrians, all the way back to the Natufians, you get the Philistines, the Egyptians, all the different groups in the Levant, Phoenicians, etc. They're all up in there. They're not different races. They all admixture from this and that. There were some Greeks there. I guess they would be European, but by and large, it's all Middle Easterners. But they decided, no, we're Jews. We're the tribe of Jacob, from Jacob and Esau. And you're not. We're the 12 tribes. 10 of them are missing because it is mythology, but whatever. Based on what's in their mind, they created a class of people that are Jews and a class of people that are not Jews. And they decided that this isn't a thing based on belief, even though in reality it is, that it's actually based on bloodline. They didn't know what DNA was, so they said the bloodline of the Israelites. They made Jewishness a race. Of course, it isn't, obviously, because you have Ethiopian Jews, European Jews, Middle Eastern Jews, whatever. You and I know that. Like, anyone can look at that and go, you're not a common race. That's stupid. That's like saying all speakers of English are a race. So the whole concept for them to have a racial prejudice still starts from the religion they made up. And it's still in that land. And it hurts. So it didn't start Zionism. I don't know why people think that. Like, there was a World Zionist Council before him. There was all these things before him. They've always been pushing to take that land. It's been like that way before the 1890s. But I don't want to get lost in the woods on that. It's like, who cares what their religion is or isn't? Like,
I was just
you
bringing
can't
up
kill babies. Like, I know what your claims
You're right.
are, but look, man, obviously millions of people live there in Gaza who don't agree with your faith and your rhetoric and your racism. You can't just colonize your neighbor like you're doing in the West Bank. You can't just Nakba them again. And you did. You removed almost 800,000 people out of their homes, and that millions of Europeans migrated to Palestine and then self-identified as Israelis who were not there and have no grandparents from there or anything like that. They just decided on identity that they're Jews and this land belongs to them. It is as stupid as me going to Siberia and saying my ancestors crossed the Bering Strait and kicked some Russian out of his house and take it. That is so dumb. You don't racially inherit land, even if you were related to those people. That doesn't work.